A journey to one Africa.
Secretary of Humanitarian Services, His Excellency the President of Botswana, other dignitaries. In Uganda, we approach health with two strategies. Just, I imagine, as it is done in many countries. The two strategies for health are preventive health care on the one hand and curative health care in case somebody gets sick. Prevention, number one, cure if you can't prevent. That's our strategy. The preventive health care includes the following. Number one, nutrition through sensitization and education, because Uganda does not lack food of any type, carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, and other micronutrients. What is sometimes lacking is knowledge of what is needed and why. Consequently, some people overeat, others undereat, and others miseat. In other words, eat what they do not need and fail to eat what they need. Income inequalities, especially in the towns where there are unemployed persons that no longer have access to land, sometimes causes malnutrition. Because in Uganda, most families have land. This is not like in other parts of the world where many people don't have land. In Uganda, it is the other way around. Almost everybody has land. So those who have land, they grow their own food. So the problem is not food, it is to know what food to eat and why. So the second preventive measure is hygiene. Hand washing, proper waste disposal, including latrines and waterborne sewage systems. This eliminates many diseases such as cholera, intestinal worms, hepatitis A, etc. Number three, safe water through boreholes, grafted flow schemes, protected springs, and piped tap water that eliminates many waterborne diseases such as cholera, worms, guinea worms, bilharzia, and other hazardous contaminants like heavy metals that can lead to cancer. Number four, vaccination that prevented smallpox and vaccinations that prevent the following diseases: polio, severe forms of TB, tetanus, whooping cough, diphtheria, hepatitis B, cases of pneumonia, severe diarrhea, yellow fever, anti-HPV. Anti-HPV is against cervical cancer in our young girls, and COVID-19. Number five, malaria prevention through the use of larvicides. If we could concentrate on that line, larvicides, killing the larvae of malaria or of mosquitoes before they become mature mosquitoes. Draining of stagnant water, because Uganda has got a lot of water. 20% of Uganda is under fresh water. So that water is good for us, but also good for our enemies. So if we don't work on it, it can be a problem. The use of treated bed nets, etc. Number 6, behavior change that has helped us to deal with HIV/AIDS, because this is a behavior problem, mainly. AIDS, you go and look for it, doesn't look for you. Corona-19, again, this is partially a behavior problem, but especially Ebola. I'm glad the Secretary was recognizing our recent little victory against this Ebola. When this Ebola came up recently, there's a new clan. There are different clans of Ebola. There is Ebola Congo and the Ebola Sudan. So the one which visited us recently was Ebola Sudan. And people were panicking. I say, but why are you panicking? This is very simple. This disease does not attack you unless you come in physical contact with the one who has got the virus. And not just casual contact, intimate contact. Because it goes through a few places. If the Ebola virus falls on your arm here, it will not affect you. It will only affect you if it goes into the eyes, the nose, the mouth, or through sexual interaction. So, I told our people, but you know how the Ebola is going. Let's stop it. They were running around, but we stopped it. It's not such a big issue. Number 7, lifestyle diseases, such as hypertension, diabetes, heart attacks, kidney diseases, cancers, alcoholism, etc. These can be prevented in many cases by appropriate conduct, e.g., not overeating. Why do you eat too much? Not smoking, not taking excessive alcohol, and exercising, etc. Number 8, this is all in the prevention. Protecting the environment, especially the quality of the air, that can help us to prevent some of the respiratory canal diseases. Some of the pollutants can go through food chains, e.g. agrochemicals. Polluting water sources becomes therefore crucial. Those sources must be protected by ensuring that there are vegetation belts around the water bodies, e.g. forests, shrubs, etc., to make sure that we leave vegetation belts around the lakes, around the rivers, around the wells, so that they can filter out for us all these pollutants. By being serious on the above 8 points, if you are serious on these 8, which I have listed here, you eliminate 75% of all possible sicknesses that can afflict our people. That then leaves us with the 25% to to deal with. It is here that now the curative network of our medical centers comes in. In Uganda, we have what we call a health center 3 per sub-county. And there are 2,184 sub-counties in Uganda. Then we have health center 4 at the county constituency. And there are 353 parliamentary constituencies in Uganda, out of which 167 have the health center 4s. We call them health center 4s. A constituency has around 100,000 persons. The third tier has a district hospital. This should be 147 in Uganda. However, we now have 45 of them. There are then the regional referral hospitals, which should be 21. We now have 16 of them. There is then the National Referral Hospital at Mulago, plus other specialized national health assets such as the Women's Hospital, the Joint Clinical Research Center for AIDS. All the above are government health facilities. There are, however, many private health facilities belonging to private people, to the churches, to Islamic groups, to private people, both local and foreign. We are now working on eliminating medical referrals abroad, because we have been having that problem of our people going to India, especially, and recently to Turkey. We are trying to eliminate that. Referrals mainly for heart, kidney diseases, and cancers, and sometimes involve organ transplants that have been taking US dollars 70 million from Uganda per year. Those referrals have been taking quite a bit of money from the country. We are going to we are going to reverse medical tourism. Instead of our people going out, we want people to come into Uganda by providing this super specialization service to patients from abroad, also taking advantage of the good high altitude climate of Uganda for the recovery of these patients. Because where they go, the climate is not so good. So when they recover, I think they will recover faster if they are in Uganda, because the climate is very good. Uganda's elevation is between 621 meters above sea level. So when I land in Washington, I get worried because I see on the computer of the plane that I'm 18 feet above sea level. I get really very worried. So Uganda is between 621 meters above sea level and 5,119 meters above sea level. That is why you find permanent snow on the equator. The picture of the Rwenzori here clarifies that point. In my statement, you will see the picture of the Rwenzori with permanent snow right on the equator. Uganda is therefore moving well on the issues of health. The pressure is to cause our doctors in the districts and nationally to put more emphasis on public health, avoid the sicknesses, instead of waiting for people to be sick and then get treated. This has been part of the colonial training of the doctors. The doctors, the way they are trained they were trained in the past. It was for them to ambush the diseases, wait for people to be sick so that they are treated. But why do you wait for people to be sick? Why don't you stop it? This is our emphasis. They have that orientation. We are trying to convince them to please educate the people so that they don't get sick instead of waiting for them to be sick. That is how our population has risen from 14 million in 1986 to now more than 43 million. The population in 1986 was only 14 million, but it is now 43 million, and it will be 106 million by 2050. So don't worry about this population. I know some people are worried about population, but Africa has actually been underpopulated. So when you are worried about population, don't worry about Africa. Africa is 12 times the size of India. You can put India into Africa 12 times and it will fit there. Until very recently, the population of India has been bigger than the population of Africa. It is only now that for the first time, the population of Africa has overtaken the population of India. So you can see that really the population of the problem of Africa is not overpopulation, but rather the other opposite of underpopulation. This population of Uganda, which has risen more than almost 4 times in 30 years, we have no problem with it. It's not such a big issue. There are 2 areas where we are moving on our own, but where we would welcome collaboration if available. This is in the areas of pharmaceuticals and vaccines. It is not correct to continue with the present arrangement where in the global share of pharmaceutical production of US dollars 1.42 trillion, Africa's share is only US dollars 16 billion. Of the pharmaceuticals produced in the world, valued at 1.42 trillion, Africa's share is only 16 billion production. Uganda and Africa are better placed to produce many of the pharmaceuticals on account of the plants that we have in our area. Chinkona, which helped humanity with malaria from the year 1630, was a tropical plant. There are other sister plants in the tropics that can help man with many of the health problems. During the Corona-19 pandemic, one of our professors, Professor Patrick Ogwang, cross-matched an ancient antiviral plant product that our people in the northeast of Uganda, Teso, have been using since time immemorial against measles caused by the virus rubiola, with the treatment for Corona-19 virus. And it saved so many lives. This professor from the village knowledge, traditional knowledge, his education about viruses and so on, when this virus came, we said, oh, but we have got something we use for the other virus, the measles. Let me try it on Corona. And it just kicks it out. Just kicks it out. Uganda, with a population of 43 million, had 170,000 cases of Corona-19. And we lost 3,632 people. You very well know what happened in other parts of the world. You know how many people died. Many more than this one here. We are also working on developing all the types of vaccines needed for the humans and for the livestock. Our scientists have, for instance, discovered an anti-tick vaccine recently. On the side of the diagnostics, we are moving well, as we are doing on the side of sanitizers. Being one of the biggest producers of bananas in the whole world, since ancient times, it was easy to enhance the production of sanitizers from the alcohol base and from bananas. In the Great Lakes countries of Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda, you even come across many names of marwa, wamarwa. When you hear that word marwa, wamarwa, it means alcohol, or referring to alcohol from bananas or from sorghum and millet. So we are able now to upscale this alcohol, which people are using to burn their livers, to instead burn the virus. That's how we're able to get the sanitizers. In conclusion, from Uganda's point of view, we invite friends like the United States and brothers like the African brothers who are here to cooperate with us in the production of vaccines and pharmaceuticals for the improvement of global health. Collaboration between the USA and Africa will enable the world to get cheaper medicines and vaccines. Because remember, our production costs are lower. Our production costs are lower. So if you want cheaper drugs, the place to go is Africa. In our research for vaccines development, we found that we need 17 input chemicals and reagents, including the one known as beta-propiolactone. When we are developing these vaccines, we find we need chemicals and reagents, and one of them is this one. Because I take close interest in this, you may think that I know something about chemistry, but this is just plagiarizing, stealing the knowledge of others. And when I speak, people think, oh, the man is informed. Our scientists told me that this was from cassava that we produce in Uganda. So we're running around, ringing labs here, get us beta-propiolactone. Oh, what? Oh, but where is this made from? From cassava. Cassava! But we have all. It is not correct to produce unaffordable medicines on account of using expensive inputs when countries like Uganda can produce those inputs cheaply. Our part of the world, the Great Lakes area, had little contact with the outside world until 1841, when an Arab man by the name of Ahmed bin Ibrahim became the first non-black person to come to our area. We had never seen a non-black person until 1841 when an Arab came. And we said, people looked at him. They didn't know that he had a skin. They thought he had no skin, because he was the first non-black people they saw. So in those times, people were traveling by ships and walking on foot for 1,000 miles from the ocean. That slow way of movement, nevertheless, did not stop those travelers bringing the terrible smallpox called Omze, Ebkacha, Kawari in our languages in 1894 that killed so many people. Those travelers who came from outside brought us a terrible smallpox in 1894. If epidemics could spread in spite of the slow pace of movement of those days, how about now when people can hop from continent to continent in a matter of hours by aircraft? The recent phenomenon of COVID-19 has clearly shown this. This therefore means that especially with epidemics, like the Secretary said, the health of one is the health of all. I thank you, Your Excellencies.